Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I wanted to talk about the Prodigy's, I believe 1997 massive breakthrough album, and that is The Fat of the Land. And this record takes me back to my childhood. I mean, this was the record that got me into the Prodigy. Technically, I had already known Voodoo People off Jilted Generation through the movie Hackers. I think that's, what the fuck was that? I mean, there can't be anybody over there. There's just like trees and shit, and it's somebody's backyard, so that's probably where I'm hearing the noise from, the person's backyard. But it does sound terribly close. But yeah, like I was saying, I'd already been introduced to the Prodigy through the movie Hackers, and the absolutely fucking killer track, Voodoo People, that samples Nirvana's Very Ape incredibly well. But this was the first record that I really got on board with as a fan when I was a kid. This was a big deal in 1997. This record was everywhere because of Breathe, Smack My Bitch Up, and of course, Firestarter. When you saw Keith Flint in that video, that was it. You wanted to look like him, you wanted to walk like him, you wanted to talk like him, and you definitely wanted his hair. And because I was so young, my parents didn't really care, so they let me do the hair for a while where I could shave down the middle and have the two spikes. And it was a lot of fun. And like I said, when you're a little kid and your parents aren't expecting you to find a job or anything, they don't really give a fuck what you do. So they let me do it. So I felt like in some backwards, dumbass way, I was more connected. Like, oh shit, you know, I'm pretty much in the Prodigy at this point because I have the guy in the band's hair. But I think too, the other thing, that I love about this record was looking back on Jilted Generation and the Prodigy experience, even though I love both of those records for very different reasons. Like I love how piano-laden the experience is, and I love how well Jilted Generation has aged throughout the decades, because usually electronic music, especially early to mid 90s era electronic music, doesn't really age the best. As of 2022, it sounds dated and old, and it's like completely out of place. But Jilted Generation has aged like wine, you know? And I love that about this. And I will say that this record, other than the standout tracks, which would be Smack My Bitch Up, Firestarter, Breathe, Climatize, and Serial Thriller, I think that's about it. Those are about the only tracks on there that I still feel really hold up as of 2022, whereas the rest of this record does sort of fall squarely into that late 1990s trip-hop Chemical Brothers thing that was going pretty hard at that point. Now, whereas I have always felt that the Prodigy from this point have only gotten better, it is kind of sad to see that this record hasn't maybe aged the best. Even their cover of Fuel My Fire, it sounds so 90s-ish. The only tracks, like I said, the real track on here that for me stands up completely is Firestarter and Smack My Bitch Up and Breathe. Those three, but especially Firestarter, they sound like the 90s, but at the same time they don't. They sort of sound somewhat timeless. Whereas the rest of this record do sound like they could have belonged somehow in like a bucket hat-laden Pepsi ad from 1998 for some electronic music festival where everybody was wearing those really baggy raver pants with like the fucking massive pockets you could fit like 2 VHS tapes in. When those, you know, those necklaces people made out of the things that you'd find in like a bathtub, holding on to the little rubber stopper, everybody was wearing those. Oh fuck. The 90s were bleak. And right now I've got 90s hair. Somebody pointed that out to me the other day, and I almost don't mind because it's like everything old is new again. So maybe this record will find its place back into the pantheon of popular things, or maybe it won't. I don't know. I've always loved this record, but I do have to say that out of their entire discography, this is the one that I usually skip. I absolutely love their follow-up from this, Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned. It took them a while to release it, and after the disastrous comeback attempt with Baby's Got a Temper, for some reason, I loved Baby's Got a Temper, but for some reason nobody else did. They would have to wait a while, and that would be like a 7-8 year gap between this and Always Outnumbered. So I think I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes, almost 5 minutes now, while I rambled on and on about the Prodigy's, I believe, 1997 album, and that is Fat of the Land. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. You guys are amazing. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.